Holy fuck. Time is 4:37 a.m. Saturday, January 7th, 2023, UK time. What a week, man. What a week. I mean, I just got done working. I've come into quite a few of these late at night, having said the same, but I don't think about like this late. Even responded to an email, not even like 20 minutes ago, like just I'm sending it out at this hour. Yeah, so I guess first week back, right? I think it's this, many can relate to the experience of like, talk about manic Mondays, like, that first week back after New Year is kind of like a manic week. But I feel like maybe for my team, especially given what we do, but for me personally, never mind the grand scheme. I'm just talking me personally, honestly, right now. This week was rough, right? But all's well that ends well. So it's ending well enough, at least, that I feel like I come into this. Because honestly, when it's really bad weeks, guys, I don't do these, obviously. And I'm exhausted, but I was like, I just gotta do this because it was a significant week. I don't want to be forgotten. And I want to see what I had to say about this week later in life, because this one's a memorable one. So what makes it memorable? I think just on face value, first week of the year, 2023. Yeah, why not bookmark it, regardless of what did or didn't happen that week. Would have liked to actually gotten in one of these right before the end of the year, but obviously didn't. But yeah, 2023, let's do it. I feel like in retrospect, I feel like oh, this is a weird thing to say, but I feel like odd years, I do better in odd years. And the only way I even started kind of considering this or keeping track of it is since I started buying like a precious coin, a Bullion coin, at the end of each year to commemorate the year. Started in 2017, started with a platinum platypus, 1 ounce, 1 troy ounce platinum platypus. Then the next year I was like, well, I should get a gold bullion, even though I don't like the look of like pure gold. It looks like fake, to be honest, right? But the next year got gold, and I've just been alternating ever since. So ever since 2017. And coming into 2017, I was down to, no money in my savings account, like sub 1,000. I did have shares in New Relic, did have a bit of Bitcoin. So it's not like I didn't have shit I could cash. But technically, yeah, it was like under a K when I got this job offer, like 5 years, 8 months ago. So it says LinkedIn, which gives me an extra month here. But yeah, so anyways, been buying those coins to commemorate each year. Got to buy one this year for last year. It's got to be gold, and gold's like, I think now more expensive than it's been in an awfully long time. Let's look. Gold ounce. Yeah, man. It's going to be the most expensive coin I bought to date. And then platinum, conversely, actually, platinum's been going down. It's because they stopped using it. It's using like catalytic converters a lot, but because of this move to like electric vehicles, there's like a lot less catalytic converters. And as a result, the price of platinum has been dropping. Used to be worth more than gold. I mean, that's why you have, they went gold, they went platinum, right? But yeah, like last few years has been cheaper than gold. When I first bought my first coin, platinum was still more than gold. So 2017, I know that platinum was worth more. But I think maybe since 2018, let me look. I don't want to pull up a chart. It's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think maybe since 2018, gold's been more than platinum. Somebody can keep me honest. Nobody really cares. I don't even really care. But yeah, because of those coins, that's when I started thinking, actually, every platinum year has been better for me the year I bought that platinum coin, but maybe it's just in my head. We'll see. Hopefully it's like right to at least to the degree of this year. Let me have a good odd year, one more good odd year, and then whatever, you can buck the trend in 2024 and have that be a really good year. Even though it'll be a gold coin year. And then eventually look to kind of pass those coins on to, the kids I hope to have. I'll leave them with something. I really like those kind of things. I'm sentimental. I am like a sentimental materialist in some ways. I don't want to say I'm like materialistic per se, but like I am like mm, sentimental about some like material things, like sentimental materialist type. I made up that phrase. I don't know if I think it's a good one. Sentimental materialist. On topic of sentimental materialism, I bought one of these Dunhill lighter. Love it. Very cool. I'm so cool. I've been a big fan of it. I use it a lot. I think I got a pack of cigarettes delivered to me at like 11 p.m., 11:30, I think it was when I arrived. And full pack, I'm now down to 3. If you can see, 3 in there, whatever. They're there. 2 Luckies and 1 nut. 3. So yeah, I've been working, but obviously I've been taking a lot of smoke breaks too. And when I work hard, that happens. I can even feel it. Like, Anywho, so what to say about this week? What was so like memorable about it? First of all, it was just a crazy week, but what made it crazy, I guess. Let me start with what made it significant, which also played into, part of the craziness of the week. So this week was the last week of my first ever hire, Sally. Same name as my mother. And I don't know if I've told this story here. I'm sure I have because I've told the story so many times. But before I became VP, when I still had a VP that I was reporting to, the ship was sinking. I was out in the Bay Area working from hot ass Santa Clara townhouse with my mom, living with my mom. Had a DUI that I was dealing with. So if I could drive, I was driving with one of those things I had to blow into to get the car started, and had to blow into every random time it started beeping while I was driving. That shit was infuriating. And at one point I couldn't have the car. Like there was time between, like I wasn't technically supposed to be driving. Eventually then went and got the blow thing, or got to the point where I could drive with the blow thing, whatever it was. But I was living with my mom, kind of not really able to drive. And even if I could drive, I wasn't about to go on like dates and pick some girl up in a car after. Not even a cool car. It was what was my dad's car, then my mom's car, then my car, Acura RL. And the Acura RLs are not as cool as the like Legend predecessors. The Legends are legit, man. I love the Legend. If I was rich, I'd just go get a Legend and redo it, I love the Legends, but the RL, it just got kind of grandpa-y at that point. It was champagne, which is a very grandpa-y color too. But yeah, champagne RL, 2000, 2001, I think, 2000, 2001, I don't know. One of those. Not stick shift either, so not as fun as every other car I ever had before that. And here I am having to blow in to this thing to get the car started, and every time it starts randomly beeping, so you can't time it, right? It just randomly start beeping. Could beep within a couple of minutes, could take like half an hour before it just starts beeping again. But then all of a sudden you gotta fumble for it, pick it up, blow, drive, blow, drive. I mean, that a little bit of a hazard, man. They should revisit that shit. I don't know. Seriously, though. And then when it didn't work, it would start beeping really bad. And then what it would do is it would report me. It wasn't working, right? Like it wasn't fucking working, reporting me. Then I have to pay like $50 to like something more, like $50 or something, at least 50, maybe more. I think it was 50 to get them to reset it. But to reset it meant I couldn't start the car again. So the moment I stopped, first of all, it reports me. Fortunately, it doesn't stop me, mid-drive, right? But the moment you stop or park rather, right? Turn off the engine, I think, hopefully. Yes, what it's connected to. You won't be able to start your car again until you call in and they reset it like remotely and charge you and all this bullshit, just because it wasn't working. Like it was finicky too, man. Like I was even more infuriated about it. But anywho, I don't even know how I went there, but that's where I was. Living with my mom, Santa Clara townhouse. My husband had been a high schooler, almost like couldn't drive, living with my mom, working from home. At least I had homies, friends I see regularly still. So there's still that like going for me. Whatever, But and still dealing with the felonies at the time, and not knowing if I'd even be able to make the move to England that I was hoping to be able to for this company. I mean, at that point, I was the only one left in the States. And they did already actually in November make me VP. So I was basically a lone employee with the VP title, working out of the Bay Area for a London company that was on the rocks, and in all likelihood, about to go bankrupt. But at that time, right before my predecessor left, at least she did do me the solid of like hiring somebody. It just had to be done. Hiring somebody that would be a CSM in Europe. But even with her coming on board, I was still supporting some European customers from the States. A customer in France, a customer in Finland. The one in Finland, I'd have to like take the call, I think at like 1 a.m. or sometime after midnight, so that it would be like 8:30 a.m. their time, whatever, or like whatever it was, maybe. Yeah, late night calls. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe the midnight was like, why is my memory failing me? That's one thing I was always very proud about, is how good my memory was. Maybe it was 11 p.m. I think it was like 11:30, so that it would be like 9 a.m. their time, something like this. I'll be like 9:30, right? Anywho, neither here nor there. I digress. Digression is great. I love digression. That's a shout out or callback or allusion to Catcher in the Rye. To pick up on the thread from something I talked about last time I did one of these books, basically. You mentioned Catcher in the Rye then too. I gotta read some more books. I gotta read a book. It's been years since I've read a book in full, for real. And I want to read a fiction, not like a self-help, nothing like that. Maybe something I don't know. I've never really read like a professional book, like those ones that everyone does, like Never Split the Difference. They're like a mix of like self-help and professional, right? Professional self-help, I guess, is what it would be called. Never read any one of those. Probably should. I'm getting to the age where probably not okay that I haven't, especially given the position I'm in. Also things like Crossing the Chasm. Like I know the concepts. I have I got the Cliff's Notes in my head at least, but never really read. Obviously, I haven't really ever read anything really in full, any kind of corporate book. I think I did read one. I did read one, but like really quickly in a night, right? Like in a night or two. What was it? It was given to me, not given to me, but recommended to me by my former CEO. I don't think he directly recommended it to me. I think he recommended it to Mike, and Mike recommended it to me. And it was a product book, a book on product, written by one of I think it was like the Horowitz, not Andreessen, but Horowitz guy book. What the fuck was it called? Yeah, The Hard Thing About Hard Things. But funnily enough, having read it in full, I know I did actually finish that one. I can't really remember what it really didn't stick, I guess. Or maybe I absorbed it and I like to think I did, but can't even really remember. Wouldn't be able to like quote you something from it, that's for sure. Not like Catcher in the Rye, which I read decades ago and still could. Phony. Is that a quote? It's just a word out of the book, but so yeah, this week. Okay, first person I ever managed last week. She's been with us 3 years. The first exposure to her I had was the recruiter at the time that we had came to me, and the one criteria was that we wouldn't interview anyone who wasn't already or hadn't already been a CSM. And the recruiter came to me, he's like, look, I know that's the criteria, but there's one girl I spoke with, I really think you like her. Would you be open to speaking with her, right? Because I was like the first line interview. And I said, he said, here's a resume. I saw the resume name is Sally. So I was like, oh, okay, it's my mother's name, right? And my mother's name is not that common. I think it's only 3 Sallys I know in my life. Fourth, fuck that fourth one. Fuck that bitch from the book, though. The one that was a year older than us. also a part of Key Club. Went to Stanford. If you know who I'm talking about, you know. But yeah, the other one was my mom. The other one was this first hire of mine. And the last one I know or can remember knowing is, aside from that fourth bitch one, was my neighbor in Saratoga, our neighbor, the Jack and Sally. So Sally has the exception of that cunt one, right? Has a significance for me. I mean, it would regardless, just by virtue of my mother. But I was like, and then on top of that, you know, she came from sales. I came from sales too. Somebody gave me a chance at some point, right? Who am I to not pay that forward? So, okay, you know, someone gave me a chance to move from sales to customer success. The least I could do is give somebody the shot at, pay forward the shot at it, right? At least. And then what else? She also had a like pretty decent background, like only, you know, one job out of college, but that one job, you know, one real job, right? But like was IBM, right? I think she's like 2 years at IBM working for Watson. So experience was, you know, on paper relevant enough, right? You know, in the AI space, working for IBM. I mean, these days we all know IBM, Watson is whatever, right? But 3 years ago, still knew it was kind of whatever 3 years ago, but not like we know now. And still had like the kind of aura around it, right? Or the name recognition, you know, when people talk about AI. I mean, that's not too many years past, you know, what Watson did with Jeopardy or whatever else, right? And everyone knows IBM, obviously. So big name company, come experience the other side of the spectrum. Doesn't get much bigger than IBM, and doesn't get much smaller than us at that point. We were down to eight or nine, if you count the recruiter. That we decided to discuss the exit interview, first exit interview. Well, I did one with this other guy that I fired within like 6 weeks, but that's a very different type of exit interview than this one was. And I did this one very differently too. And we settled on her number being 10. She was employee number 10, because I think we do got to count that recruiter guy. He was with the company for so long too and hired so many people. Gets that single digit 9, she can be employee number 10. But then we had to let him go. So then she became, you know, the 9th. But that's the thing with employee numbers. It's very tricky. You don't like become the 9th employee because somebody else left, or somebody was the 9th and then they leave, new person comes in. Are they number 9? Technically not. Like their employee number would probably be 10, right? But they're the 9th employee. Yeah, the 9th member of that team, right? But yeah, so we'll call her employee number 10 of like the new era. That's what we settled on with her. And first hire of mine. Never been a manager before. Had a bad experience being a lead prior to that, when we were working in San Francisco, when we had the office in San Francisco and the team in San Francisco. There was this girl that like I approved. I didn't hire her, but like I was the lead, approved her, did all the interviewing, interviewed all these people. She was one of the few that made it to the last round. At that time, I was really struggling to find talent because we were like a no-name company, based in London, competing for CSM talent in San Francisco. Good fucking luck. But you know, she seemed decent enough. I obviously approved her, so some of the responsibility falls on me. But once she started, it was quite clear that I'm not gonna say how good or bad she was. We just did not get along. There was just a chemistry mismatch to the extreme. I don't know. I mean, as with any kind of chemistry, part of it's me, part of it's her. Both at fault, or both the reason, let's say, for why we did not mix or jive. Some chemicals are just, you put, you know, one good chemical, another good chemical together, and either they don't mix or it's like explosive, or who knows what happens. I mean, that's chemistry, right? And yeah, it was like horrible. It was like walking on eggshells. It was just, I think we made some efforts on both sides of trying to make it better, and it never did. In fact, I think it made it worse. It was kind of like a quicksand situation. The more I struggled to like try and improve it, it actually probably maybe made it worse. toward the tail end, I think it got better. So at least it like got better, but it was never good. And that's how I was worried it would be with Sally here at the end too. But Sally was very different. Sally started, there was some skepticism, but in the early days, but I established with those that were skeptical that pretty quickly, not pretty quickly, but as soon as I came out here and worked with her, that she was somebody I could work with. And that was what was important for me to establish, because the previous one that I wasn't the manager of, it was also an awkward situation. I wasn't the previous one, I wasn't even a manager, but I was a lead. So maybe responsibility of like giving her guidance, but without like the authority to, tell her what to do. Not that I was trying to tell her what to do. Maybe wasn't giving her enough guidance, but I was underwater myself. Yeah, like they gave me I have the lead title, but like I'm underwater as well over here. And I don't know. Lead is not a great title role. It's kind of a worst of both worlds. Fireworks somewhat. And so yeah, 3 years later, it made a lot of mistakes with her, made more mistakes with her, I think, than I made with any other employee. But also she was, I feel like, more sensitive than any of my other employees. And she also maybe struggled a little bit more. Not maybe. Well, it depends on how you like to define struggle, right? There were more things that came up, so escalations, right, through via her and her accounts than like others. And I'm not going to get into all that. That's not what this is about. Really, what today was about was like that exit interview with her, bringing it to a close, and concluding kind of through your experience with I've never managed anybody longer. And it'll be it'll take another 18 months or so until anyone else is there anyone else I will have worked with or managed for 3 years? Yeah, it was another 18 months before I made that first hire of mine. Because she's technically not, I didn't hire her, right? She was the first one I managed. Then 18 months later, I made my first hire. So yeah, it wasn't 18 months, was it? No, it was like March. So like 15 to 17 months, 17 months from becoming VP, 15 months, 14 months from like moving out here. So should I go into detail? No, I shouldn't really go into detail, but I do want to give some like themes. Themes is we all know that I need to check myself sometimes and maybe not say things I said. And I know even saying things as I'm saying them, or before I even say them, that I shouldn't say them, but I still commit to saying them because I'm like, fuck that. In fact, so much of, I don't know about so much, but too much perhaps. Yeah, too much of things I've said, going back to being a kid Zangayin, was fuck it, I'm gonna say it, like, or before saying something, doing something, or writing something, like even writing is a particularly good example, right? So writing, you have plenty of time to premeditate it, think about it, think not to say it or write it, but still like commit to writing it, even though you shouldn't, you still do. In many ways, that's my MO. And it's easier, even easier to say things you shouldn't say than it is to like write things you shouldn't write. But yeah, that's something I got to grapple with, because it is part of my identity. Like I like that part of me. I don't want to relinquish that part of me. I'm not trying to be one of those like squares, buttoned up, perfect, like so conscious about like image and being professional and professionalism and perception and perfect American, what's the word? American boy was, I was gonna say perfect, what, like um all American, right? No, bro, that's not me. I'm not trying to be that, right? Never was. I'm not trying to be no, like Alex Smith, whatever. I'm not even citing the quarterback. I was just throwing out like a very all-American type name, right? But yeah, fuck that shit, man. But and also by not being too professional, I want to create a culture, be a part of a culture where people feel comfortable to not put up those like corporate professional walls in their interactions with their team, especially because I am working at a startup. And I feel like there's a lot to be said about where people can feel comfortable to like speaking freely, right? Try and lead by example by speaking freely. But it shouldn't come at the expense ever of making people feel uncomfortable or exposing others. That's another big problem. And this goes back to like good friends say this. Like, I can be an open book. I can be as open as I want about myself. That's my prerogative. I'm allowed that, right? If I say things about myself that I shouldn't have said, guys, I don't know that you can fault me for that. I think you could say, boy, you should have said that. I think you're like, why the fuck do you say that? That was stupid to say. But if it's about me, I'm just overexposing, whatever. Can't tell me I can't. So you can't tell me what to do with my money that I made or whatever. I don't know if that analogy uh, sticks, but yeah, that's how I feel. They'll tell me what to do with my money. They'll tell me what I can say or not say about my life myself, what I can like divulge, expose, how open a book I can be. But me being an open book should never come at the expense of exposing other people, right? So, like, for instance, if like a good example is this, one night before this guy I hired, a guy who we hired, we already knew I worked with him before, right? It was when we hired him, right? He came out to like, I think it was like the holiday party or something, or maybe it was before holiday, some dinner. And him and me just stayed up all night, right? Together. It was a holiday party. It was a holiday party. We stayed up all night together, dollar bills, British pounds up our nose, right? Next day, he texts me, I got COVID. And I'm supposed to fly out later that week, like in a matter of 4 days, 5 days, I think. Yeah, like that Thursday. And he tells me on Saturday morning that, oh, I have COVID. And we were just sharing bills. They went back and forth. Oh, fuck, if you have, I definitely have it, dude. I was like inhaling the same bill you were as hard as I could right into my brain, right? Like, if you have COVID, fuck, there's no doubt I do too. And I'm supposed to go to my buddy's wedding up Thursday in America. So like I gotta travel abroad, I gotta test. This is my first time going back to America in 2 years. Like, oh fuck. I was so depressed that I couldn't even bring myself. Like the first day I just laid in bed the whole day. I didn't even like. Well, first of all, I was exhausted. At 7 a.m. I came back home, right? And then he tells me like later that Saturday, and then I think I finally get a hold of a test on Monday, but that all Sunday. First of all, Sundays suck. I hate fucking Sundays already, right? But talk about some Sunday scaries at another like level is that I'm there like trying to find how do I order it. And at the time, all the tests that you ordered, like they're all out of stock. Nobody had any, especially because it's right there, Christmas time, holiday parties, right? Um, Not that there was but yeah, we were like a little gap where we could go out to dinner. It was weird, right? Like London had these like little bitty gaps, like where like just for 1 week you could go out all of a sudden. And nope, now we're rolling it back. It was one of those. So yeah, no test. Finally got a hold of one like Monday or Tuesday or something. And like, I mean, talk about ooh. I mean, I was spiraling. I must have done one of these around then, look back but I do them on Fridays. So it would have been like much later. But once I already found out that I didn't have it, right? But anyways, I told this story way too many times already, and that's not okay to expose him. Now, he's part of my story, sure. And the story doesn't make much sense unless I explain that, like, I was with somebody else, but I don't have to cite who, right? And I just gotta keep that shit obscure. Like, that's not fair to other people in the story of my life to expose things about them that they may not want to be exposed. So that's fair criticism, has always been. I've always understood it to be, even when I had a hard time kind of accepting some people furious with me, right? Don't fucking talk about, keep my name out of your mouth kind of thing, right? Other people more balanced and they're like, boy, dude, that's not fair to me, man. Like, and I understand, I always understood, no matter how badly they took it, even if I got defensive about it. But this is my life, this is my book. People are a part of my book. I watched a great series the couple weeks back. What the fuck was it called? Had Mark Maron in it. Easy, I think. It's like not a new series, right? Um, it was fucking fantastic, man. Comedy drama, yeah, easy. Dude, that was fucking great. Had 3 different seasons, highly recommend anyone check it out, right? Had some like crazy cameo appearances, like what is it, Emily Ratajkowski, Orlando Bloom was in one episode. Looking at the cast, Dave Franco was in like 1 or 2 or a couple episodes. Some of them would come in and out of episodes. Like, dude, legit. Anyone who hasn't seen Easy, check it out. It's on Netflix. And there was like a good episode, the one that Emrata was in actually, about like where is it appropriate, in terms of privacy and stuff, because he was like a memoirist of a sort, right? So he's a cartoonist, but he'd write like cartoon type memoirs, right? But anyone check that out, right? Like it was really good. Even got me looking into like a genre I guess is considered called mumblecore. Yeah, I don't know if it qualifies as mumblecore, but I thought it was smart, funny, like impactful, affected me series. Like some of those shows, oh wow, that was good. I feel that for sure. And maybe it's just like with books, you never know, right? You just relate to it, hits a chord. And I related to so many of those episodes. Like really. Yeah. But where was I going with this? And this week there was just so much work. And then there was onboarding this new employee that just started. And then going through like the transition process of like transition. I mean, we're still going through the process just week 1. And handing over invites, from one to the other, or like joining the calls that, Sally typically ran to introduce the new hire, Evie. And now I'm going to have to be on a lot of those calls that were Sally's, now Evie's, because she's so new. There's no way she can, run them on her own. So I'm back to kind of being a CSM again. Not that I really stopped, because I'm still doing all these pilots. There's all these pilots that I was doing this week as well. It's also a short week, only a 4-day week. Also first week back. Also all sorts of other stuff. Even if I'm forgetting, I was still responding to emails at 4 a.m. guys. I don't like, how do I get into the detail about? But what I will say about this week, as well as with this onboarding, is that this new hire, she worked with like this previous company for like 7 years, right? And only used Outlook, right? So even this week was really, I'm not even kidding you, like a lot of the onboarding. So we had an in-day session, thank God, because onboarding remotely is very difficult, especially when you don't have a proper onboarding program. Onboarding in a startup sphere without proper onboarding, given what we do too, is quite difficult to onboard just in general. But given what we do, it'll be hard to have easy onboarding given what we do regardless. Then add to that we don't have any real formal onboarding program. Then add to that we're all remote. Just makes it a very difficult process. But at least I had in-day session with the 2 of them, as well as the other SE who's leaving next week, today, right? But all of it today was really not all of it. There was a tail end I was showing her some actual Zendesk stuff, but the early part of the day was really just spent walking her through Gmail. It was literally Gmail and Google Calendar onboarding, which is something I did not account for. I did not forecast for in onboarding. And I can't falter for it, right? Like if you've never used Gmail or Google at all, like to me, it's just so. I've used Outlook very briefly. One time we got picked up by Microsoft for like maybe 3 months or so, right? That was it. But I remember with Outlook, I was like, oh, like it's a little bit you gotta learn, but like It wasn't that hard. I don't know, right? I don't remember really, right? What did I really learn to do? I learned how to send an email. I didn't really have to learn that much more. I wasn't really scheduling calls, I think, through Outlook. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't think so. But and it was very briefly regardless, right? I was on way out already. It was quite clear. Well, yeah. In retrospect. um yeah, so I mean that was something I didn't even account for, and on top of it is like, there's just such, I was so underwater. I was up till 4 a.m. Wednesday or something, just trying to get out from underwater Wednesday night, right? Then my brother was in town, so Thursday, we had scheduled to like meet up, have drinks, and then didn't get any work in Thursday night. I got home. I worked all of Thursday, but like from like 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was on nonstop calls. I had not a single gap in my calendar. I had one gap, one 30-minute white space in my calendar. But from 9:30 to 5:30, one single white space calendar, not to mention the work I had to do. That's just joining calls, man, not doing work. And then, but finally, my brother came through. He was good, came through, waited for me to kind of finish this or that, whatnot. And then I had to prepare a pilot review for today with this huge company here in the UK. And it was, with a partner, and the partner wants me to send the presentation to them before I present to it. I hate doing that shit because I'm always leaving it to the last minute to get done. So now you guys are basically pulling my deadline on me only because you want to send the deck to them before the deck that I'm preparing, that I'm about to present. I like presenting the deck, sharing the deck, not sharing the deck, then present it, and then share again or whatnot, right? Anywho, I don't even know if they shared it. I sent it, but like there was some errors in there actually. There's some like missing data. I didn't realize until the morning after and rushed to get it filled in. But yeah, so I'm pulling the deadline up on me. Brother in town, definitely wanted to do dinner with him. And even with him, I killed two birds with one stone, because the employee that's leaving next week, he's like, oh, me and Benji or whatever, just drop names, sorry guys, I guess, or gonna grab drinks in Canary Wharf, watch the Man City Chelsea game. And like he's never invited me to anything. Never did. That was the first, right? That he's been like proactive about, hey guys, this is my last week here, because he's going to Romania on Sunday. So next week's his last week, but he'll working for us, but he won't be in London next week. So this was kind of like goodbye for him too, right? And I was like, oh, well, okay, I'll bring my brother. I'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll bring my brother. My brother can meet my coworkers. My coworkers can meet my brother. I can spend time with my brother, spend time with my coworkers, but also dilutes. I didn't get to spend one-on-one time with my brother. Feel kind of bad, but not too bad, because I do want to meet my coworkers. I do want my coworkers to meet my brother. Trying to kill two birds with one stone. I need a drink. I was dealing with like I was on edge, like a bad, like on edge, right? I just need a drink. Got my drinks in the way I drink. I keep drinking. Came back home, thinking I would drink some Red Bull vodkas, think I'd come back home and do some work. And no, I was exhausted even after all the Red Bull vodkas, and just fell asleep on like my back in bed. I sleep on my stomach normally, but just like fell asleep in bed like midnight. So didn't get any work done, then scrambled. Then I got to scramble in the morning to make it to Canary Wharf for, to meet up with all these in person. I promised Sally I'd get her the air fryer. So in the morning, I got to clean out this air fryer that I used once, but for some inexplicable reason, I cooked rice in the air fryer. So there's all this rice that fell to the bottom that I never cleaned out. It was just like sitting there, fermenting for, at this point, maybe 9 months. How long ago did I buy that fryer? I don't even know. I promised I'd get it to her long ago, so cleaned it out this morning and bring it out. Then we got a call with a customer like right 9:30. She was late. We had to send a new invite, so they didn't see the new invite. So we're sitting there on a call waiting for them to join. They never saw it, didn't join. So that handover failed. And that's her crown jewel account. That's her key account, basically, of the ones of the ones that matter there at the end that, you know, didn't make it work, right? That's the one that didn't really get handed over properly. There's still so much to do when we're talking like proper handover. I mean, that was just intro. It was just the intro call to intro myself. And in fact, with them, I've never even spoken with them. They're one of the few customers of ours that were like always hers, always somebody else's before her, never mine, never passed through me. But also one of our key accounts, historically, less so lately, but like historically, they were one of our earliest and one of our bigger name recognition ones. And I'm gonna have to get up to speed, right? And it's gonna be hard because I don't know anything about this account, what they do. I also work with Salesforce, which always makes it more difficult. And try and learn up this new CSM on an account I know nothing about. So that creates like some anxiousness about how's it gonna be on top of it. And never mind how bad it is, but like, you know, oh wow. And like she has a lot of legacy accounts, like these big legacy accounts I gave her that were just legacy. We're not trying to do anything, just maintenance mode, but hopped on calls with them. One of which she hasn't spoken with in like forever, but then we hop on calls and like, oh, did now, you know, we're ready to do all these new things. I'm like, no, we're not trying to do anything for you. Yeah, you pay us big bucks, but like, we're not trying to do shit for you, man. We're maintenance mode. Like, ideally, we churn you out. Ideally, we do so well this year that we can afford to just churn you out, even though you pay, you know, plus 6 figures, right? Yeah. And those legacy accounts are just no fun and just like so corporate-y versus e-commerce, which is like much more casual. Yeah. Yeah, and then feeling guilty about like the onboarding experience, the new hire experience, how I got to improve it. Got new hires coming through. Also this week, finalize an offer to another hire. That's more time than you think it is, right? I have to hop on a call to explain our KPIs to her. She asked, you know, do we offer a pension? I say, she was asking about the pension. She says, oh, in your contract. The first thing she asked about was why we have in our maternity leave, we just we mentioned, you know, we in the first year we have the statutory minimum, you know, what the government mandates. After the first year, you're eligible for like our enhanced maternity leave. She's like, what's the enhancement? Even before we told her, because she brought this up multiple times on the interview. She brought it up in the interview with me around like benefits. Then she brought it up with Benji and Trisha. Then she brought it up again in the final round. In the final round, I finally told her, like, you know, if you hear our policy is 4 months, 4 months paid leave. And she was complaining about like, not complaining, but she was saying how like the company she worked at previously was like 10 months. Then they got acquired by this another company that reduced it down to 3. She didn't like that at all. I'm like, well, I hate to break it, ours is not much better. It's 4. It's not like 10, I guess, that you had at the place you worked at previously, but I guess it's not as bad as 3 where you work at currently. Ours is 4. And we are, and even the CEO stepped in there and said, you know, we are looking at like what we can do to kind of increase the maternity, what we will do, not could do. It's for us to figure out how we'll do it, right? How we can increase the maternity leave for those that have been with us longer. But no way are we inclined to increase the maternity leave for those that have only been with us for 1 year. We can't really afford to. As a startup, I mean, I don't know. I realize that in Denmark, they have it great, right? I don't know whether it's Scandinavian countries. But I think it's a decently generous thing, especially being an American where like, yeah, it's a decently generous thing. Consider we're really like a bootstrap startup. We're not like a late stage startup. We're not Yammer like Yammer was, right? We don't have mega money, man. Like we're bootstrap basically since 2019. You know, we've had no money, no VC money in the bank, and it's basically been bootstrap. We're down to 8 people with no money, with 30K in the bank. There was no VC money behind us, right? Like we've clawed our way back. Like I explained the Phoenix story. I explained it in the interview process. I mean, what are you expecting? Anyways. So, and then when it came to the offer, she's like, why, when we hopped on a call, she's like, why isn't the enhanced maternity leave in the employee agreement? I said, well, it's a streamlined employee agreement. It's just it's like a simple, almost like general template, right? And in the, or, in the form, we call out to after you're eligible for enhanced maternity leave. Well, I'm telling you, here's our enhanced maternity leave. Can I get that in writing? Sure. We have it in a handbook, send her the handbook, screenshot of the paragraph where it's highlighted. There you go. Then she said, oh, about the pension. Who do you guys use for your pension? I don't know. Who's the pension through? I don't know. She's like, do you use a pension? I'm like, I think yeah, I think so. I think I automatically opt in, right? I think it's an opt out situation, right? Pretty sure if I look at my pay slips, I'm pretty sure some pensions coming out of it. I have to double check. I don't really know, man. Oh, and then she like gave me this queer look, right? Like, dude, I don't give a fuck about the pension. In fact, now, to be honest, she's the 11th person I interviewed, 11th person I'm hiring. First person asked me about the pension, right? I don't know who it's through, right? But she cited the section. She said, "Oh, it says per section as of 2008." Sounds like that's there because you guys have to do it legally. I'm like, yeah, that's probably why it's there. It's only there because we legally have to be in accordance with it, and it's cited in this simple standardized contract, right? It's just streamlined to be bare bones, simple kind of contract, right? But like airtight, not airtight, but like airtight too. Not like more complicated make a contract, the more places there's more seams, right? For it to like, I don't know. But and then she's like, oh, but you guys match, right? And I said, yeah. I don't know. And I felt really bad about that. But I was so on the defensive about how she gave me a queer look and how she was like, I felt like really looked down on by her actually when I said, I don't know about the pension. I think I'm opted in. She's like, well, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I just got very defensive. I was like, yeah, we match. We probably don't match, right? I only realized after, I was like, fuck, why did I say that? I should just admitted not knowing there too. But because I already admitted that I don't know that the pension was through, and the way she framed it, but you guys match, right? Like, I was like, yeah. We didn't even match 401k, right? But we didn't match 401k at Lean Data either. Like, it's not a reasonable expectation. But the way it was framed to me, I was like I guess I like, because she led with like the section. I'm kind of making excuses, but like trying to think why I because I don't lie like that, like, right? So I'm trying to like rationalize, like figure out in my head why I did. I think it was purely from a defensive like reaction, right? I just was getting kind of heated. And keep in mind, it was a crazy week for me, right? And this is the last thing you're talking to me about fucking pension, like she's talking to me, she wanted a pay raise too. I get that. That I'm not, everyone's supposed to negotiate. I get it, but like it always aggravates me a little bit because we do pay well. And we have all these like perks too, right? But I guess probably not a match pension. I said, look, we'll have I'll loop in the head of finance on the email around the pension. I did at least say that. I did give myself an out around the pension. We'll loop in there. You can answer your questions. I'm gonna put the employee handbook in the email, also, around the maternity leave. So you have that and as well. I don't think it was reasonable to expect that the enhanced maternity leave be in the employee agreement, right? Especially because it's subject to change and we would have to change it in the employee agreement too. And the whole point of the employee agreement as it stands is to be just like a streamlined, simple, airtight type contract. I mean, even there's been times where I even raised with Bogdan, like, can I, adapt it? So I say, just don't change anything, right? Like, just keep it as is. I don't want to have the, lawyers approve that. That's approved to go. Anytime you make a change, I have to get lawyers to approve it, review it again. I get it. Okay, cool, right? Like, funnily enough, the first hire I made, like that contract was so badly written, right? Like, that's embarrassing now to look back on, but she didn't really read it. I didn't really read it before sending it. And now, like, no, if the next American hire, like, it definitely needs to be updated. And we laugh about it now. She laughs about how like she didn't really read it. I didn't really read it, right? Like, and that's the kind of like thing I'm looking for. And like, I'm looking for somebody that has attention to detail, but for whatever reason, she is quite good. And like, she is detail oriented and she is very organized, but I'm surprised that she didn't read it more. And like, we just, but then this one, like, what's the pension? Who's it through? Why isn't the maternity leave policy in there? Can I get this in writing? Yeah, sure. Here's a handbook. And I get the feeling that she's been burnt. Like, I feel like I'm dealing with a little bit of baggage, maybe. Like, the last company she was at was horrible. OneTrust, calling out. I've interviewed like a dozen different people from OneTrust because she's a flaming fucking pile of fucking pot shit. I mean, a dozen people, whether they were let go or leaving or whatnot, like it's just one of those that I think was like a high flyer or something, maybe in London, like definitely hired a hell of people. And then it's just flaming out really badly lately. Like a lot of people that I think they're better than they are, because they come from OneTrust, but it means shit to me. Doesn't mean anything to me. All I know about you guys is I'm interviewing a bunch of you, and none of you seem to be a really good fit. But this one, yeah, okay. Um, and yeah, but then I sent an email later than I was like, regarding the thing, I don't think I think it's safe to assume we don't. I'll let Carl confirm. I'll let the head of finance confirm. But I think it's safe to assume as an under 30 person startup that we don't, unless matching is in accordance with section blah blah blah, copy and paste that into it. Unless it's in accordance with that, I think it's safe to assume we don't match, right? But I'll let head of finance confirm. See what she says. And it's like, welcome to a startup. Like people think they want to be a part of a startup, but then I don't know. We'll see. Can't be too judgmental too soon, right? And to be honest, because I said we do, like I'm perfectly happy to void the whole contract if it's a problem for her. Because there is like a clause, right? Like a bad faith clause or something where if you're like lied to about something, like I mean you like you can get out of something. Like if you can prove that you were materially lied to. And I materially lied to her inadvertently. So I feel really stupid and bad about that. Like verbally, but then I did follow through written and confirm that like I'm admittedly unclear. I think it's safe to assume we don't, but I'll let the person who really knows confirm. And if she gets back and it becomes an issue, I'm saying, look, this is startup life. I'm happy to void the contract, even though you already signed, right? So we'll see. Oh, why am I talking about this? Am I allowed to talk about this? Is this overexposure in a sense that I'm not allowed to? Is this open book or overexposure in an improper way? It's a great question. I think it's safe to say it's overexposure improper way, but I also don't give a fuck. But I also have to be considerate of what it might mean to the company I care about. So much consideration. Nobody listens to this though, bro. 5 fucking people, probably. Like, this is for me, man. But if it's really for me, then I just shouldn't share it publicly. But there's something about knowing that somebody close knows you, listens. It kind of changes it a little bit. In a way, I like to think somebody's listening, but then the moment somebody's listening, there's some things maybe I shouldn't be saying, right? That's a whole nother one of these at some point. I gotta deep dive on that theme. That's a big theme of my life. That said, I'm done. There's so much more to be said about this week. X interview in particular. I think I'll do another one of these next Friday. And pick up the thread from there. In the interim, happy 2023, everybody. It's going to be a platinum year. And much love. Be happy. Do good. Love you, Mom.